Season 2 of the Midwest States Only Challenge has come to an end, and it is with the Atlanta Falcons winning the Super Bowl 28-10 over the Baltimore Ravens. Patrick Mahomes was the MVP in the yearly awards over on the right-hand side. However, we did have a couple good things come from this year, 2 Pro Bowls being one of those, as Ingold and Linderbaum both make it. Additionally, we also saw the breakout of rookie receiver Kyle Traynor. Now, he was a hidden dev. Unfortunately, as we hit the offseason, he regressed down to a normal dev. Again, despite having a really good end, so assuming he was a star, no longer is that the case. So with that, we'll have to see if he still stays the same or if we stick with Allen Lazard, Quintez Cephus. We've got a tight group of players here towards the bottom with Juan Morris, Xavier Hutchinson, Kyle Traynor, and Tyler Johnson, all very similar in overalls. What was good about Traynor is he had really good release. Will that be good enough to keep him wide receiver 2, and do we find any other options in this offseason? As we move forward, that is what we aim to find out. We'll get through the offseason probably pretty quickly and then get straight on into the start of Season 3, as we've already kind of made most of the moves we can with the players available to us. But one area of need is the defensive line, and it's going to be even more so as indeed Shelby Harris does retire following his 11th season in the league. As for player re-signings, well, we took care of most of these in the season, but there are still a few that we need to take care of. Now, first and foremost is Quinn Miners. Really want to make sure we lock him down. We've got 3 years left here in this series, so we're not going to offer anything more than that, but we are going to raise up the bonus. This is going to make it about a $15 million offer per season, so we'll put that one in. He enjoyed playing us, but he wants to test out free agency. Now, most likely, we will be offering a franchise tag, which would actually save us about $5 million. But of course, we have a couple other deals to go through first. Boye Mafe being one of them. Again, one of the guys that has consistently made plays for our defense. Considering the $500,000 raise previously didn't work, let's raise this a full $1 million. 5 years, 17 per season. Mafe would also like to play for a new team next year. So we're going to have to try to get some things done in open free agency for sure. Mike Rose, we will move on from for now. He might end up coming back. Dan Arnold, similar situation. And Dwight Jenkins, the punter. If we could just lock down a punter throughout the remainder of this series, that would be great. So we're going to give him a pretty good deal, and we do finally get someone to sign. But I think, first and foremost, Quinn Miners, we are going to franchise tag him. Now, as for open free agency, it would go mostly pretty well. We found a lot of guys who are going to be depth, rotation, maybe even see a little bit of some playing time, some young, some on the older side. However, we did miss out on one pretty big player. Despite us really sending the house to try to get Boye Mafe back, he did not want to return. We offered him a 5-6 year deal, more money here than the Packers, and he chose to go there instead. So now we will be playing against him twice a year. As for any holes we still have on this roster, well, we're still pretty good at quarterback. Tommy DeVito looks like he might be stepping back into quarterback too, as Jimmy G has regressed. Running back, we did find Chase Brown, signed him, and he will be another back for us to use. He's not going to be as much of a trucking back as Alex Church, who did have a pretty good year, but he's going to have maybe a little bit more elusiveness to his game, provide a little change of speed to Alex Church, because Jonathan Taylor, for some reason, just does not stay out on the field. As for receiver, there were a couple options, but they would have all been low 70, high 60s overall, and we're pretty good there, so we didn't add anyone in that spot. Tight end, we didn't add anyone, so now it's going to be up to Shane Zylstra and probably Charlie Kohler to take over that tight end 3 spot. Chase Allen and O'Keefe probably aren't going to make the team, but we'll see. Offensive line-wise, we did re-sign Ted Karras. We had him at the beginning of this series, ended up trading him away, and he's mostly just going to provide a little bit of some depth for us. We did sign a couple other depth guys like David Edwards. And in terms of at least a promising youth guy, we do have Daniel Falele, if I'm not mistaken on that pronunciation. So we've got good depth for the offensive line moving forward. It's still the defensive line that's a big question mark. We weren't really able to add anyone to help out the left or right end group. Hopefully, maybe there's one player in the draft for us. Defensive tackle wise, I still think we are pretty solid here. Now, of course, with Boye Mafe leaving, that does open the door here for Zach Bond as a possibility to see some playing time. There is also Anthony Nelson, who did fairly decent with his opportunity last year. Now, we did sign a handful of more interior linebackers, and those players were signed maybe as a little bit of some trade candy to see if there's anything that we could try to fill out some of our needs. We did also sign Desmond King, some more help for the cornerback group, though still probably going to keep with Cameron Mitchell being that slot corner. But Desmond King can provide a little bit more depth if Mitchell has to step into the outside for whatever reasons, because King actually has some pretty solid tackling ability. We also added a couple more safeties in Jordan Howden and Dane Belton. Both can provide flexibility, corner as well as both safety spots. Now, when it comes to the draft, well, unfortunately, there's just not that many options here for us. There are some draftable running backs at day 3 and around 3 to 4, but frankly, we don't need any more running backs. Where we were hoping to get some help was at the receiver spot, and the round 2 to 3 went down to a day 3 in Braylon Dunn. Now, he's still an interesting prospect out of Illinois State, 6'2", 207, 22 years old. He's not really a burner. In fact, athletically, nothing really stands out. But what does stand out is he has some solid catching at a B, A break tackle, and B ball carrier vision with some solid injury ratings. The route running is very raw as well as the release. So he's just another guy who would probably fall into the same line as a lot of our more depth receivers. However, in the opposite way, there was an offensive lineman that shot up from a day 3 to around 2 to 3 in Sean Derby, a Wisconsin center. At 6'1", 293, he's got, again, opposite to the receiver, a pretty good physical build here, and he is 100% a pass blocker with an A in awareness, impact, lead, pass block finesse, and power, but then the run blocking is horrific. F for run blocking and D for finesse and power in that 10 category. So he wouldn't be a starter, but he would be another really good depth player to have. The other offensive lineman, who's a day 3 again, pass protector, we did not get all the information on, but day 3s you could take shots on. Now, the one possible guy here for us for the defensive line, Anthony Griffin, he unfortunately did not go up. He stays a true day 3 at 6'3", 267, would be able to play maybe a little bit of both the edge and outside linebacker. He's got some strength to his game, okay speed. He's got the power moves, had a little bit of block shedding with a C, same as the awareness, but the play rec is a B, and block shedding is a D, so he's got to stay on the outside. I still think he could help us out. He's going to be someone we go after. But the last projected draftable player is another corner here in Mitch Peterson, a very well-rounded, though he's just not that developed. Not much strength, decent speed, and he's got C for zone, press, and man, and awareness, though play rec is an F. So he wouldn't be a starter by any means, pure depth. Maybe we take a shot on him. But I don't think we're going to see any key players come in outside of just us not having much for the defensive line, maybe Anthony Griffin. So as we get into the draft, we don't have a first round pick. Gave up 4 of them to get Brock Purdy, and of course he didn't have a great year. But there's no first rounders for us to use in this. So we will just straight up jump to our next pick, second round, pick 11. And let's take a look to even see if that receiver is still there. We do have just 1 second rounder, 1 third, which is the last in the 3rd round. So we need to keep that in mind. Running back still there, and indeed Braylon Dunn is still there. So we could risk maybe with that late 3rd, Sean Derby might still be available. Either way, with the 2nd and the lack of high-end ability here of Braylon Dunn, I would look to maybe trade back in this round and maybe into the early 3rd, and if he's available, great. Or at least that was the plan. But the Carolina Panthers coming in here for future picks only. We could give up our 2nd this year, but we could get a 2, 3, and a 7 next year. And of course, with Braylon Dunn not really looking all too intriguing, I think he's someone we could skip out on. And we might have a better draft class next time. So let's just trade out of the second round with the Carolina Panthers. And surprisingly, that would not cost us the ability to actually draft Braylon Dunn. He drops all the way till the very end here of the third round. Again, day 3 talent, so he's more of a maybe 4, 5, 6, or a 7, but probably more of a 5 and later. As for the offensive lineman here, Sean Derby is also still available, but could go earlier. So I think what we do here, late third round, essentially start of the fourth round, we pick again in 12 spots. We will go with Sean Derby. He has the better ceiling. If Braylon Dunn's still available, we'll go back to the receiver. But offensive lineman, hidden dev with 84 strength and 82 excel. And so far, things folding pretty well here for us. Braylon Dunn still available. Again, fourth round, we'll go ahead and pick him up. We got a better value for his initial projection. Again, he's got some pretty good hands. He's got some break tackle ability. At 6'2", 207, probably not going to transition to tight end. So he will stay at receiver, but we will pick him up. Normal dev, 87 speed, 92 excel. But after getting the luck for the offensive side, we would not get the luck for the defensive side. The one defensive lineman that could have maybe helped us out, he got picked up before we got to our next spot, which is 11th in the 5th. Now we have 2 5th-round picks here. There's not a whole lot to go after. There is the corner and a running back, neither of which we particularly need. The other offensive lineman, he has also gone. So I think what we do here, because we don't really need either of those 2 positions, is we bundle up, we trade for the future, and we leave with just 2 selections. And the best trade partner looks to be the Buffalo Bills. We'll bring in a 3rd, 5th, and a 6th next year for 2 5ths, a 6, and 2 7s this year. I feel like that's a pretty good deal for us. Gets us another higher round pick that, again, maybe we use to bring some talent in for this year. As for this year's draft class, it didn't end up turning out too bad. The center that we drafted ends up being a 74 with a little bit of a boost, hidden dev. Again, he had all A's for pass blocking, and yeah, that's very much what we see here. Definitely need some help with the running game. A little bit more strength would be great, but he's going to be a really good backup, and honestly, again, could be someone that we trade to fill in a big piece. And as for Braylon Dunn, he exactly fits in with that group of receivers that we have, a 69. He doesn't have top end speed, but the route running is pretty balanced. You can try to work that in any certain direction. Catching traffic can use a little bit of some work. Carrying is a 64, so there's no transition to running back, that is for sure. Run blocking is a 43, so definitely not a tight end, but maybe a little bit of a returner for us if he does end up making the final 53-man. And despite the real lack of change to the team, at least preseason-wise, looks like a good step forward as we win all 3 games, only one of which was close. The last 2 against the Texans and Commanders, a solid win, 31-12, and then 34-7. In the preseason, Brock Purdy did not throw any touchdowns, but he didn't throw any interceptions, which is a far improvement from last year, and 70% completion. Tommy DeVito did take that quarterback 2 role, and he had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 63%. I don't think that's awful, considering what we know from him. As for the rushing game, Jonathan Taylor had a really good preseason. 6 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns, Alex Church 3.7 and 2, and it doesn't really look like Chase Brown had very many carries, of which he did have. They were all right. Receiving wise, Quintez Cephas did lead us, 14 catches, 144 yards, averaging 10.3 and had 2 touchdowns. Kyle Traynor, though, on just a couple less catches, had a better average per reception, 134 yards, though did not have a touchdown. We did see a touchdown, though, from Xavier Hutchinson. Now, one thing to note, as you will see here, Allen Lazard not listed at receiver, listed at tight end. He had 5 catches, 65 yards. We're going to trial this for the first part of the season because his actual blocking ratings were just about the same as all of our backup tight ends. Defensively, Devondre Campbell did lead us in tackles with 14. Edwards had 12. TFL leader was Keanu Benton, and then 2 for Jacobs and Epinesa, who's now essentially our leading edge rusher. Sack-wise, though, Benton, Dowling, and Golston led us all with 1, and then split between Adebayor if I'm not mistaken, and Zach Bond, one of the new additions. We did have 3 interceptions, Hobbs, Edwards, and Moss. And it was a perfect preseason for Chase McLaughlin, 3 of 3 on his field goals, 11 of 11 on his extra points. So pretty much any changes that we did make seemingly has worked. However, to get down to the 53-man, we had to make some tough decisions, some of which included trading some players away. So we sent Ted Karras to the Bengals. We bring in a current 4th and a future 5th. Additionally, we also sent David Edwards to the Colts, and we brought in a 3rd round pick. Uwazurike, again, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, we sent to the Giants for a 6th round pick, and then we also sent Josie Jewell to the Browns, and we brought in a 5th. So some of the guys that we just signed, yes, we traded away. We're hoping that they would be some good depth 4th. We still have good depth, but ultimately, we had to get down to 53. Now, additionally, we also had to release some players, and Shane Zylstra probably is the surprise release because he was our tight end 3 last year. He got released, some of that due to Alan Lazard moving to that position. We released Jimmy G, released Michael Ojemudia, Terrell Smith, Theon Hicks, Ernest Brown IV, Logan Bruce, Ko Keefe, and Chase Allen. We did also send a good handful of players to our practice squad. Juan Morris, Evan Hull, kind of got demoted with the signing of the new running back, Kevon Merriweather, with all the new additions to the safety spot, Anton Pettis, Larry Turbin, Cam Bond, a good handful of players, but no one really outside of, I would say, Evan Hull, we've seen much of. But that does set us up here to kick off the season, and the goal in season 3 here is to get through the regular season pretty quickly. We will definitely start in week 1, and then we're going to start jumping through these games pretty rapidly. So let's check in to see how the team looks to start the season. And it'll be offense to get season 3 underway, and it's definitely our more developed side, to say the least. Taylor, he finds some space to the outside. He picks up 7. He was off to have a really good season last year, but the last handful of games he really did not play at all. We'll hope to see him play a full season, which really would be his first time in this series, as that pass was off from Purdy. Looked like he was trying to find Hawkinson, though. The coverage on the inside, honestly, is probably a better throw for us. 3rd and 3, Quintez Cephas in motion, as Purdy will look to throw. First catch is a 1st down on the year for Traynor. He's going to play on the inside here, as it looks to be the same start. Quintez Cephas again in motion, though this time we do hand it off. Taylor stopped in the backfield. Will be actually a loss of 2. Look to see a pretty well-balanced type of offense. Obviously, Purdy not coming off a great year. Hopefully he has his best year with us this year. Getting us to the playoff is the goal. And one small step that could help us would be a 1st down here. 3rd and 8. Trips down to the bottom, 1 up top, or actually no, 2 up top, including T-Hawk. Purdy rolls backwards about 20 yards and fires it out of bounds. So first drive, we don't really go anywhere. But with that, we'll check in on the defense then. Really, every spot outside of the defensive line seems to be doing well and developing. We've got a good amount of running backs. They'll play one goes for a game of about 10.5 for Algier. Seattle already has themselves with a 1st down. Have been seeing a lot of just 3 down linemen in some of the nickel packages. Want to make sure we limit that good stop from Edwards, the leader of that strong linebacker group. The DB is honestly a pretty strong group as well. We just need the defensive line to show up. The 2nd and 9, a couple hits in on the receiver. He holds on to it, and they give him forward progress. Not sure I exactly agree with that. Looked like it should have been short. The 1st and 10 is a shot downfield, and he finds his receiver. Not the coverage we're looking to see there from Hobbs. That's got to be a whole lot tighter. 1st and 10 down to the 35, then Lindstrom with pressure, sack, fumble, and scooped up, I believe, by one of our defensive linemen. Indeed, it's Keanu Benton with the recovery. So we give up the big shot downfield, and immediately we make a play off of it. And it just so happens to be Desmond King, who we did decide to start at slot this year over Mitchell. Just the ratings were so much better, and it works out pretty well for us. Not here, though, as Miners gets the holding call. Purdy then just picks up 3. 4 more, still not back to the original line, and we come up a little bit short, though field goal range, and we will hit it with Chase McLaughlin. So we take a 3-0 lead here in the first quarter. Lindstrom on his next drive starts with 2 throwaways, 3rd and 10, make it 3 in a row. Good stop there from the defense. See if the offense can spark a better drive here and not shoot themselves in the foot like they've done so far. With a first down rush there, Taylor with another gain of 5. 8 back to him. We get inside the 25, we'll definitely jump in. Chase Brown loses to his first carry and then tack on another 10-yard penalty as it's the second-year tackle. Chase Brown will then pick up 5, leaving another 3rd and 17, and Kyle Traynor yet again. Hopefully he gets the opportunity this year to re-earn his dev trait. Looked like, again, it should have been a star. Lost it right back to him, and he's not holding on to it with that hit. Pretty much speared at the point of the catch. So 2nd and 10 at the 19. We hand this one off, and again, nowhere to go. Thompson with the quick tackle leaves 3rd and 9. We'll come out with a bunch up top. One down the bottom is Traynor with that one-on-one. Brock Purdy looking his way, and it's a surprising drop. We'll have to settle yet again for a field goal attempt here. McLaughlin at the 25 will be a 35-yarder. Definitely expected Traynor to hold on to that one. Surprised it also wasn't called a fumble, but we will double our lead here. Make it 6-0. Now as we jump forward a little bit here, just outside the 2-minute warning. Seahawks trying to drive in, find their first score this half as they loft it, tipped away. Hobbs, much better coverage this time. Lindstrom, the quarterback for the Seahawks, starting just 3 of 8 passing, as it looks like they might continue that here with 3 up top, tight end at the bottom. Simple drop back, pretty clean pocket, and finding his tight end on a kind of was a comeback. I'll mark it a gain of 4 for Dallas Goedert. Sticking with the same look, now inside the 2-minute warning. 3rd and 6, we bring the blitz, we get a hit, and it's just enough to throw off the timing. At the 37, expect the field goal unit to head out here for the Seahawks, and indeed they will. From the 44, a 54-yarder to try to get on the board. Snap back, kick is up. It's got the power, but Rosas pushes it to the right. It's no good. We take over at the 44. Brock Purdy looking to pass, going down to the bottom, finding T-Hawk, was our 2nd leading receiver last year. But with the receiving talent we have, we kind of expect him to. Rashad Bateman maybe 1st or 2nd, those two flipping around. As it's 2nd and 3, lofting, Bateman missed. He dove out for it, but Purdy couldn't find him. 4 of 10. Again, despite all the ratings, the good ratings he has, we really haven't seen a highly rated quarterback. Swinging this one out for Taylor, 3rd and 3. It is stuffed at the 48. Joe Thomas will keep the offense out there. Just needing 2 yards here. It's a heavy tight end set as they send Kolar in motion. He's going to go to the left-hand side. Really letting this play clock run. Got T-Hawk across the middle. He gets the spinning grab and a timeout called. 27 seconds left. Honestly, kind of surprised to see that no timeouts were called prior to that. So let's take control of this drive then. See if Bateman gets a step to the outside. Great throw from Purdy, and Bateman is gone. We'll nearly double, and in fact, if we go for 2, we could take a full 2-touchdown lead here just before half. And with the decision to go for it on 4th, I don't see why we wouldn't go for the 2-point try. So it's the I form here. Purdy dropping back and getting sacked. Looked like he was trying to find Traynor. It will keep it at a 12-0 lead. As we jump about midway into the 3rd, following a 26-yard grab here for Jennings. Seahawks now still trying to find their first points, are inside the red zone. As Lindstrom drops back, actually stepping up, he finds a lane. As Sidney Brown, a little bump. Expect a bigger hit from him, but it's a 1st and goal down at the 2. Clearly the defense not ready for the scramble. Those staying spread are the Seahawks. 2 down the bottom, 1 up top. Algier, the running back, as he heads out on a route, and quick slant off the mark. They tried to find Keenan Allen. Adams, with a little bit of a bump there, secures the incomplete pass. Still looking to pass, though, Lindstrom, or scrambling up, Edwards spied him the whole way, didn't crash on it. Seahawks get on the board here in the 3rd quarter. Where we have struggled throughout our time is putting games away. As we jump into the next possession here for us, we're into plus territory. Taylor with some great blocking. He's going to pick up the first down, about a gain of 8, putting him at 70 yards rushing on 15 carries. If he can consistently hit around the 100 yards rushing, we get the receiving game a little bit involved. I don't think this offense can be stopped. It's just if we can hit that. With a shot downfield, Bateman makes it goal to go at the 5. Having that extra threat now with Kyle Traynor, plus maybe a dual ability when it comes to tight end. I think that could really open things up as the offensive line does there. Jonathan Taylor's first touchdown of the season. We're back up by 2 scores. The battle is heightening here as we get into the start of the 4th quarter. Once again, Seahawks in plus territory. Lindstrom, pretty clean pocket until Jacobs busts through the double team. Ends up breaking up the pass. Extremely close to his first sack of the season. Instead, 2nd and 10 as they drop under center. 1 receiver either side, as it's going to be a 4 or 5 step drop. Down to the bottom, and Dallas Goedert with another catch. Or actually, no, check that, Calcaterra with a 4-yard catch. 3rd and 6. Trips up top, 1 below. Lindstrom. Pressure around the edge, but he steps up, sliding down with the first down. Unsure who that was who got the pressure off the bottom. 98 at the bottom of the formation here. I believe that is Nelson, if I could read small words correctly. But we'll be seeing a good bit more of him this year. He's kind of filling in more for AJ Epinesa, who's now moving over to fill in the role of Mafe. As it's Algier down the middle. Good stop, though. Keanu Benton a little bit banged up. We've got some solid options at backup DT, but none that provide the dual ability of him. So hopefully we'll just see some good run stops then. As once again, Lindstrom right down the middle. Need to be spying this guy. He's had 6 rushes, 40 yards, and a touchdown. They're only points of the game so far. And really, he's the only one sparking their drives. Trips up top, 1 more down to the bottom. Lindstrom, again, he's got time. Checks this down. Algier will get the catch, a gain of 6. So time definitely running here. Under 5.5 minutes left. You go back to the tight single back set. Lindstrom hands this one off. Algier gets smacked down. St. Just. And that's why big body corners are my prototype. 3rd and 2. It's a goal line defensive look. As they go to pass, wide open, back of the end zone, it is Keenan Allen. We'll make it 19-14 if they don't go for 2. Well, this will have to be the drive that we put this game away. 4:46 and counting. As we swing it out, Taylor, he's not back to the line. Great open field tackle by Thompson. Will actually be a loss of 1. Now, one good thing is it does keep that clock moving, but we prefer to gain something. As we hand it off, shake and bake, he slips Thompson, but he's not going to get by the DT in Onwuzurike. So 3rd and 10 as we just get back to the original line of scrimmage. 2 up top, 1 down below. Brock Purdy. He's going to look to throw or step up, avoid the sack. He's just got to outrun 96, and he will make it a gain of about 20 on the scramble. That's about as close as you want that play to be. But we'll keep this clock moving. Approaching 2.5 minutes with 2 receivers to the bottom, 2 up top, including T-Hawk. But it's Thompson down the middle, and can Purdy stop sprinting backwards? All we need him to do is just go ahead and eat it. Lose 4 rather than 10. It works out so much better for us. As we let this one hit the 2-minute warning, we've got a 2nd and long waiting for us. Now, one thing I do need to check out to see if there's a trait there with the quarterback as to why he just sprints backwards. But it will be a handoff to Taylor and a okay gain, 3 yards. But now T-Hawk, he's grabbing towards that shoulder. And will head off the field. We are definitely not deep at tight end whatsoever. Alan Lazard now moves up to tight end 1. Kolar tight end 2. On 3rd and 17, we hand it off to Taylor. And we gain 3. We're going to have to punt this one away. We are at least not a field goal game, but those are the type of drives we've got to put away. It's a solid punt here. Pretty good tackle. They'll start inside their own 20. and Lindstrom lead the Seahawks to a comeback game. 1st and 10, we get a little blitz, but it's a, well, not perfectly thrown ball, but got enough zip on it to get it there before Hobbs could. If it was a split second late, it's picked. Instead, they got a 1st and 10 up to the 36. Rolling again, we get AJ Epinesa back there. Good hit there from Adams to break it up. Really need Epinesa to come through this year, and we're back to a 3-man front. This is the kind of formations I don't want to be running. We do bring at least one of the linebackers. Throw up top is off the mark. Lindstrom, 14 of 32, not exactly a perfect day. Double A gap look for us on 3rd and 10. Drop back into coverage. He's going to step up in the pocket and take the contact. The linebackers bring him down a yard shy. They bring out the heavy look here. 2 tight ends and a fullback. Hand it off Algier, and it is stuffed by Edwards. It's a turnover on downs. They've just got 1 timeout remaining. Now, considering the weird calls that we've seen from the OC, well, in fact, he brings out Tommy DeVito here. We're going to jump out here with the offense to help try to put this game away. I don't want any throwing. And we've seen the OC cost us games with those play calls. A 1st down will do it for us. Ingold shifts over as they go with a stretch down to the bottom. And that should just about do it. But Taylor, he's looking to tack on some points. He dives in for the touchdown, and that should put this one away. A Week 1 victory for the Midwest States Only Challenge. Considering the rocky start that we had to begin last season, we will take that. We saw a good amount of good in that game. We did suffer a couple injuries. We'll need to check in on those. But ultimately, we saw a lot of promise considering that the defense still didn't really see any upgrades. Offense did see a couple. We shook things up. It's looking good to start season 3. And the injury news is not a particularly good one. Both Hawkinson and Keanu Benton tore their labrum. They will both be out for 4 weeks, but we haven't sim, so it's really just going to be 3 weeks. We also did not have Golston or Alex Church in that game, so we were also missing one of our starting defensive linemen. So in a way, I think that maybe helped smooth over what we were thinking about the defensive line. They played pretty solidly. How they will do without Keanu Benton, we'll find out. Saunders and Henningsen, they're going to have to step up. Now, over the course of those next 2 of 3 weeks, we would split the next 2 games, though unfortunately, yet again, it's another loss in division. For some reason, we just can't pull these things off. It was an overtime loss to make it worse. Green Bay takes the first matchup 27-21. And I really hope Mafe didn't do anything against us, but we'll find out. Justin Herbert, 2 touchdowns. Brock Purdy, 1 interception. 68% for Purdy, 80% for Herbert. Rushing the ball, though, it was a really good day for Jonathan Taylor. 17 carries, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. We did give up a touchdown to Swift and Herbert, but we also ran one in with Brock Purdy. So overall, we had the better rushing game. Receiving-wise, we gave up a lot here to a second-year receiver in Phelps, over 100 yards. Bateman had a good game. And then it was a steep fall to our next guy. Quintez Cephas, just 2 grabs, 23. Lazard as tight end 1, 3 grabs. Gave up a touchdown to Flowers, and we don't see anything here from Traynor. Defensively, Benjamin St. Juste led both teams in tackles with 11. Tackles for loss, 3 for Hamilton, but 2 for Edwards, Golston, and Lowry, so that's good. Mafe did have a TFL, no sacks though, so that's good. Instead, it's actually their safety in Byard and Malik Harrison. We split Edwards and Jacobs, and it was Roquan Smith who picked off Brock Purdy. But in the second game, it was actually a dominant fourth quarter that led us to victory, 35-20 over the Bengals, where we scored 21 of those 35 in the fourth. So there's that at least. Looks like Tommy DeVito saw 1 passing play, which he completed, and that was fine. 2 touchdowns for Brock Purdy, another interception, and a second-year quarterback in Justin Ray for the Bengals. No, nothing really promising from him. Rushing the game, it was a good game again for Jonathan Taylor. 6.6 rushing, a touchdown. We did give up one to Rashad Wright, but Alex Church 2 rushing touchdowns, so we seemingly ran the ball a lot. Alan Lazard, he led us win this one with 6 grabs, 72 yards. It's Rashad Bateman who got into the end zone, and Kyle Traynor just 2 grabs. Tutu Atwell scored on us, and Xavier Hutchinson got a touchdown, so that's a little bit of a surprise. Defensively, JOK led both teams in tackles with 10, but Edwards just 1 behind. Tackles for a loss, it was just a handful of players had 1. In terms of sacks, AJ Epinesa 1.5. He did give up 1 to Reeder. Jacobs had 1. Riley Moss got 1. Actually split the 1 with Epinesa. And then the pick went to Antone Winfield Jr. And kicking, they did miss a field goal. We haven't attempted a single field goal in 2 weeks. As we look to move by the first quarter here, we're going to jump into a little bit of action against the Bears. It's another divisional game. Our division is super close. Packers 3-0, the Bears, Lions, and ourselves are each 2-1. So these early wins could be great. We also see the Bears again in week 6. We might end up skipping through that one. And it would appear the reason we weren't seeing anything from Traynor is because Madden changed my depth chart. So corrected that heading into this one, and it's a pretty quick first quarter that goes 7 either way. Bears take the lead in the second. Did I say second earlier? I meant first. The second ends 14-14, so either way it still ends each quarter with a tie as we get into the third. Bears take the lead, we answer, and it looked like they might have been driving as we start the fourth. So let's slow things down and let's jump in. Bears at the 15 with a 1st and 10. Game tied, trips up top, 1 down to the bottom is Jay Jets. Mayfield with a quick throw takes a big hit. Edwards, he won us week 1. We could use someone to help us win week 4, 5? I honestly forgot where we're at. Either way, we need a win. I think it's week 4. Mayfield throws, diving, swat, king. So far, he's been a great addition. He's made a couple big plays. Saunders, big 99, helping us down the middle in this one again due to the injury. RPO swinging this one out. Trying to find a cut lane is Downs. Just picks up 3. And it will be the Bears trying to find 3 here. Golston gets the tackle. Field goal unit marches out at the 19. They will kick it to take a fourth quarter lead. The Chicago Bears hit it. Now, ideally, I would love for us to come out here and run a slow, methodical drive, take a bunch of time, polish it off with a touchdown. But as Dexter Lawrence tosses down Brown, and then once again Brock Purdy retreats backwards, it's a loss of 8 on first down. So we're not going to see anything methodical, at least out first. 2nd and 18 at the 17. As we'll look to throw, it's again pressure right down the middle. Trey Hendrickson shaken up on the play. As he heads off the field, his defense very well might be heading off soon with a 3rd and 25. They go 2 down to the bottom, 1 up top. Purdy in the end zone, spinning, and he takes the sack. I don't understand why Brock Purdy plays the way he does. He has been costly for us, just as the blocking was on that drive. But we'll have to see if our defense can pick us up a stop. As we're now down by 5, the Bears are driving consistently. Another gain of 9. That's been 3 of the 4 plays thrown away. Baker Mayfield picking up 3, 3rd and 7. They get 7, and it's a first down. We just have struggled massively. Epinesa picks up a nice sack. 3rd and 19. They will force a field goal, and that'll make it a touchdown and a 2-point game. And as we were saying, I just don't understand why we've struggled so massively here in division. We do pretty well outside of it, just can't find our plays in division as Purdy. He looks to roll, looks downfield for Traynor, and the ball just kept floating. Had several opportunities to get that ball there, just did not want to come down. 2nd and 10. A little bit of some play action as they try to find somewhere to go. Everyone covered up. Well, how about a deep comeback the opposite side? We find Bateman. That's why you got to keep your eyes downfield. Purdy with a good throw that time. Got Traynor man-on-man against Bland. See how well that ends up working out. Or we go opposite way here to Bateman, who can't find it. Emerson Jr. there with great coverage, able to knock it away. So 2nd and 10. As Purdy looking to drop back. Needing to find somewhere to go. Well, how about Traynor downfield on the run? A good catch that time. That is breakout games last time. We could use it with a strong start to this one. As instead, Dexter Lawrence back again. The problem with him is you can't escape him. Purdy probably a little bit faster than him, but gets stopped. With it, we've hit the 2-minute warning now. We do obviously have 2 minutes and 3 timeouts to try to tie this game here late. I'd like to have a little bit of some extra time just in case. As it's the screen, a great juke there from Taylor. Gets out of bounds with a 1st down. Shout out to the blocking as well. The interior really can run block. We just got to make sure that we don't let Dexter Lawrence ruin this one as Taylor takes the handoff. He picks up about 4, but it does leave us still needing 5 to the end zone. As Purdy comes out with 2 tight ends to the right-hand side. He's going to look to pass or at least roll out here. Trying to find the edge, and we'll get to the 4 for a 3rd and goal. But with obviously 4 down territory as we tick inside a minute. Purdy with them spread. 2 to the right-hand side, 1 to the left. It's quick pressure, throwing it across body. He finds Lazard, but it's just a gain of 1. Can credit the awkward throw there just to the pass rush. 4th and goal, it's spread empty as it's a throw across the middle. Quintez Cephas gets the catch. We are 2 points away from tying this game up here late in the 4th. 29-27, 3 timeouts. I mean, you at least have some amount of time in case the worst thing happens here, but trying to tie this game up, it's Cephas getting swatted away. It'll be onside then instead. It'll be McLaughlin, who doesn't really get much of a bounce, and it's Anderson setting him up what probably is in field goal range. So here's what we're gonna do then. We're gonna try to either get 3 really quick stops or let them score as quickly as possible. Obviously, we prefer just giving up a field goal. Leaves the possibility of a touchdown to win it. As we get the tackle there, it's 3rd and 11. Now, do we wonder if they're going to pass the ball here? No, instead they hand it off. Jacobs will set up a straight shot for the field goal. Boy, would it be crazy here if King can block the field goal and we scoop it up and score. But that's not happening. Instead, it is a field goal made, a 5-point game with what, about 15 seconds? Actually, it's much less. We have 1 second, as for some reason we came out here with no time on our play clock. We took the delay of game. We've got 1 shot, 1 opportunity. Can someone make a crazy play here? As it is out for Bateman. He will get the catch, but he cannot get away. Down to the 30. If we had the 11 seconds we initially had in a timeout, maybe we could make something happen. But it is a 2nd loss in division, or 2nd loss on the year, and unless some other divisional teams lost, it puts us once again bottom of the NFC North. But at least one thing that could be said about this year is we're pretty consistent about bouncing back and forth. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. Though 2 of those losses have been against the Bears. We have already been swept by them. We just cannot beat the Chicago Bears. No idea why. We've already lost to the Packers. Every single loss has been division. And before we hit the trade deadline, we meet our last divisional foe for the first time this season in the Detroit Lions. Now, we've played much better against the Lions than we've had against the Bears and Packers. A win here would be great, one to break the trend and hopefully go on a win streak in the second half, but also to get at least 1 win in division. So once again, let's start with a quarter sim and see how the flow goes, as it's the Lions who take the first lead with a field goal as the first quarter comes to an end. Our offense hasn't scored yet. We finally find a field goal, but it is a 2-touchdown lead as we bite into it 17-6. As we get into the second half. So let's slow things down then, as it will be us starting on offense. And I actually think this is a great time to jump in as we try to get things going in our favor. As Taylor picks up a gain of 6, 8 rushes for him, 31 yards, really nothing fancy. But with how dominant our interior of our offensive line is, we should be running all over teams. We're really just not doing it. T-Hawk back though, as he picks up a first down. Brock Purdy, only 50% completion. Honestly, at this point, I think if there was another quarterback option, we would maybe even give it a try. He has not lived up to his overall or all the picks we gave up for him as Hawkinson drops that one. And honestly, that's one that he probably shouldn't be dropping either, but yeah, just some weird struggles happening where guys are not playing to their overall. 2nd and 10, Purdy throws down to the bottom, and he's got a first down. Quintez Cephas. Honestly, we've seen several guys of lower overalls perform better than the higher. I think Traynor, a big representation of that. He's only about a 72-73 as he takes the RPO. He gains 1. And for some reason, Purdy's rolling his eyes at him like it's fully his fault. He's not an elusive style kind of receiver. He's a straight down the field type. As Julius Ramsey, injured here in on the tackle, will eventually get some help off the field, but a 3rd and 6, we need to make sure we don't have to head off the field. 3 tight ends up top, as it will be a pass here from Brock Purdy. Bad attempt to block from Jonathan Taylor, and he eventually just throws it away. I think we've got to start being a little bit more aggressive if we're to get ourselves back into these ones. So 4th and 6, offense stays out with a slant. It's to Bateman. It's a little bit behind, but it works. First down and a hurry up here from Purdy as we keep the trips to the right-hand side. Bateman to the left all by himself. Stepping up in the pocket and avoiding a complete sack. According to the official stat sheet, they do mark it as one, but really no loss more than half a yard. As they will go back to the running game here. Taylor to the outside. He doesn't get a block from Ingold at all. If he did, honestly, he might still be running. But a 3rd and 8 we have instead. Hard count, no one jumps. They've sent the house. Float this one out to Cephas, who looks for a cutback lane and stopped down at the 1. If he had a little bit more speed, maybe. I think we'll settle for the 1st and goal. Coming out with the strong eye, and a check being made here from Purdy at the line. They hand this one off to Taylor with a quick juke and finds the gap. We get back on the board here in the second half, drawing this game a little bit closer. And apparently so much so that, again, Joe Thomas keeps the offense out here. They've really scrunched everyone in. We might have a quick pass here out to T-Hawk. We'll find the 2-point that time. Could have used it against the Bears a handful of weeks ago. But with this one just a field goal game now, Lions, they're pushing their following drive down to the 32 as they'll continue passing the ball here. That's what got them down, as a beautiful toss from DeMarco. Less than 10 completions on the day, but 2 of them were for touchdowns. He's just finding the perfect ones to toss. As they hand this one off, Charbonnet will pick up 3. He's averaging 3.6 per rush. So, I mean, nothing dominant from the offenses, but they're doing enough. As it's another handoff right down the middle, a lot more than 3.6. In fact, it is 7 points onto the board. A quick answer back from the Lions, and the team struggling, but also not. Really just is a divisional thing. Outside of division, we're doing great, but we're into the 4th quarter. We got a 4th and 4 here. Down by 10, we need to make sure we convert, and Brock Purdy will do it with his legs. Of course, down 2 scores. Want to make sure we're in a little bit of some hurry up here. They got a single high safety, though not press coverage. As we roll to the right-hand side, getting this one to the sideline for Traynor. Couldn't find it. I will say, good throw from Purdy. Put that where only his guy was going to get it. 2nd and 10. Stay and spread. It's a delayed handoff, and Jonathan Taylor down the middle will pick up a gain of 8. We've been striving to really find that balanced offense. Need to make sure we keep the running game involved even when down in these games. As Purdy goes to scramble, he picks up a nice pair of blocks and slides down safely with a first down at the 16. Inside the red zone. Under center we drop. Looking to find a touchdown here to the outside, and floated way too much. It should have been picked. Bateman with a little bit of defense. That's been the weird part with Purdy. Some of his passes just don't want to come down. As there's some nice blocks, but an even better block shed. We had 2 lead blockers for the end zone, but it's the peel off the last second that gets the job done. 3rd and 7. Rolling and finding a target. It's Rashad Bateman. We drive back to a field goal. Now defense, we've got to get the stop here. We'll start from the sim screen. If they get into plus territory, then we definitely will jump in. Thrown away, we've got a 3rd and 3, and a gain of 5 goes to Noah Gray. And another throwaway, 2nd and 10. It's a gain of 12, Noah Brown. Well, that's close enough for me. At this point, we just got to have it from our defense. Approaching the 3-minute mark. Bunched down to the bottom, one up top. They hand it off Charbonnet. A decently quick tackle there from Golston. Really needing him to step up his play this year. Haven't really seen him much the last couple of years because of A.J. Epinesa and Amafe, but it's his opportunity this year. As the clock is rolling, play clock down to 2 before they snap it. Dumping this one off, it's a no gain actually on the pass. And Marco found Ferguson, a tight end we could have used, but didn't want to trade in division. 3rd and 5, got to get off the field here. They will look to pass across the middle. Jarring it free is Edwards. That's a huge stop. We'll get the ball back on offense. We need to find at least a field goal, or actually, they're going to try a field goal attempt here. From the opposite, 46? Got a lot of power on that one. But Tucker misses to the left. So we still just need the field goal, and we are in much better field position here. So that is fantastic. They just send 3. We roll. We got a receiver coming across, but it gets picked off. Are you kidding me? Brock Purdy, you had a wide open receiver, and you put it in a spot where it could get picked off from the trailing DB. It really is just inexcusable for a 90-something overall quarterback to have the mistakes he's having. Charbonnet quickly tackled, first timeout called. And indeed, we are clearly jumping out here with the defense because I want to make sure we're not running any sort of 3-man fronts. We need a stacked box here, as many bodies as we can get. What a play from Chenal. And then maybe not so of a surprising manner, we do not call a timeout there, trying to save one for the offense. We do approach a minute left here, 3rd and 11. They will look to pass. Have a couple options across the middle. It's out to the running back, and Charbonnet with the first down. Call a timeout there, but that pretty much seals it. Our boys knew exactly what they were going to run, and we knew they were going to pass it there, lined up in a coverage form, and they just can't get it done in division whatsoever. Every single loss this year has been in division, more than half of which probably in the last couple have also been in division. They just simply can't handle it. The North is just proving too difficult for them right now. 4 and 4, we will drop to bottom of the division because the Lions just got the first win on the season. And right now, we have not won a single divisional game. The Chicago Bears have won 3, 2 for the Packers, 1 for the Lions, and honestly, the 3 and 2 might go up. I don't know who the Packers and Bears were playing this week. But something's got to give, and we've got to figure out what that needs to be. So far this year, we've got the 5th ranked offense. Defensively, 18th. So do we need to try to go throw a bunch of stuff to bring in someone for the defense? Because while Brock Purdy definitely has had his weird play, to say the least, only 63% completion, still not good enough. He's cleaning up the turnovers that we saw from last year. 11 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. I would prefer more touchdowns, that's for sure. At this rate, he's only looking at about 3,000 passing yards, so something's got to change there. Jonathan Taylor, he's had a fantastic season running already, closing in on 1,000 at the midway point. 12 touchdowns for him. Church has had 4. Purdy's even ran one in, and he hasn't fumbled. So there's some things working on the offense. It's just not enough to win some of these divisional games. And none of the receivers are over 500 yards yet. Bateman at 475, Cephas 402. Obviously, Hawkinson, he missed about half of the season to this point, so his numbers aren't going to be great. But still, we need a little bit more. Traynor, He's only a handful of catches underneath Quintez Cephas, but a little over 100 yards less. So he's not having quite the same impact, but I still think he's probably just as good as we would have had from Allen Lazard, who's still seeing some playing time. There isn't any other receiver for us to try to trade for. So the receiving group, it is what it is. As for the blocking, Penning isn't having his best season. We could look to maybe shake that up. Fulton isn't doing great either, but all in all, the offensive line is a really good group. Defensively, we're getting some tackles. How are the tackles for loss looking? Nothing really at the top for our starting DTs. Benton, he missed some time even, so the fact that he's fourth on this list just shows that we need some more help there. As for sacks, AJ Epinesa, midway point already is at 7, so he's showing up. We're just not getting it really from anyone else. Turnovers, not a single interception. We did force one fumble, of which Keanu Benton actually recovered with Desmond King. So we've forced one turnover in the first half of the season. The defense, I think, is our weak link right now. And as it stands, moving into our next draft, well, we have 2 second-round picks and 3 third-round picks, 2 fourths, a handful of fifths, sixths. We got a lot of everything but a first-round pick. We've got to try to make some move for the defense here for a really big impact player. And if we could swing it, the first of 2 moves is for a channel legend, Greg Newsome. So many turnovers for us in the Panthers franchise. He already has had a lot of turnovers in this series. He had 3 picks last year, 2 in the first season. He will bring in another high caliber man cover guy. Should help us out considering a lot of the times the quarterbacks we're playing against are close to 80, if not higher, percentage completion. Got to figure out something there. So Greg Newsome II. There is one package I think we could swing. Give up a second-round pick next year, second-round pick in 2028, one of our second-round picks this year, a third this year, a third next year, and a fifth this year. It's a large bundle, but we got to figure something out because this team is too good to be struggling like we are. So we're pulling the trigger on this trade. We've added Newsome. There is one more I want to bring in. And we've struck another deal. We bring in Lucas Van Ness. We needed to add someone for the defensive line as well. We have to give up a current 3, 4, and 5 and a 2028 3, but we still keep that second. And with options in the draft to help maybe add some more potential in the future, if we can't massively swing this season around, then we still have that ability. Now, obviously, that leaves us a couple guys over the 53, so we've got to make some moves. And it's nothing spectacular, but we do send them to the Dolphins. They're a little thin at corner. We bring in a 2027, so next year's 6. Now we actually, I think, got a really good deal here for our next move. Zach Bond, another guy that we signed at the beginning of this episode. We're sending him to the Cardinals, but we're bringing in a 3rd-round pick next year, so that kind of helps balance out what's probably not a fantastic trade for Rudy. Overall, we get some picks back, but we definitely upgraded this defense. So next time out, we'll see what these 2 can do. We had 2 star devs here to our defense. Defensive line, still a little bit weak, but I'm hoping with Van Ness, when we go out in nickel or dime, he'll slide down to play one of those edge spots, and that will help elevate that group. And then with Newsome, Hobbs, and St. Juice, our cornerback group should be stacked, which should also help out a little bit of our safety group moving forward. But we're way too good to be sitting at 500 at the midway point of this season. Let's start fighting back in the second half. We'll get a bye week coming up, which will let the new players get accustomed. And then we're going straight into 5 non-divisional games. Hopefully that'll get us to bounce back. Then Packers and Lions laid on. A lot of non-divisionals, which is where we do best. So make sure you stick around, hit that bell icon on the bottom right, or scroll down, hit the sub button, and definitely tap that bell icon so you're notified of when these videos go live so you don't miss out to see how this team decides to perform in the second half. Do you think that the trades are going to work out and elevate the defense and hopefully help out the offense in some which way? The offense is an 88, the defense is only an 80. So we helped them out. We're not playing many divisional games. The second half is shaping up to be well in our favor.